I finally watched The Redeem Team on Netflix, produced by none other than my fave Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. I truly enjoyed this story of the U.S. regaining Olympic dominance in basketball with a star-studded cast of elite NBA players, including one Kobe Bryant. At one point in the doc, stories were shared about how Coach K left the team members notes before playing Argentina in the semifinals, which were meant to motivate and inspire the team. So I've taken a page from Coach K's book and have also put together some inspirational/motivational material for my team here at the Hot Seat with Holly Heat. Welcome to the Hot Seat with Holly Heat. I am your host, Holly Heat. My Astros swept the Mariners to move on to the ALCS, while Dodgers lost to the San Diego Padres. And all would be right in the MLB world if the Guardians were able to put away the Yankees. Anyway, the Astros were facing the Yankees and their obnoxious fan base on the way to the World Series. Go Stros. We're in the midst of what might be the most confusing season of the NFL in recent years. Pretty much every favored team is running middle of the pack, while the Eagles are still undefeated. All the billionaire NFL owners seem to be fighting with each other like they were the last to arrive at a Jeffrey Epstein weekend retreat, and there's a shortage of minors. It's pure chaos amongst the ranks and management right now as we move into Week 7. Robert Kraft got married last weekend, and even newly single Tom Brady attended the nuptials despite having a game the next day. Time to pass the torch, Robert. Tom, I'm sure Mr. Kraft can put you in touch with some nice ladies. NBA regular season is kicked off for 2022-2023. I, for one, would like to bask in the purity of the season before the tank fest for Victor Wembanyama ensues. The Warriors had their ring ceremony prior to the matchup with the Lakers Tuesday. Prior to the game, TNT aired a dramatic piece with a hint of redemption story where the estranged teammate Draymond Green vehemently stated that he had no idea about the media backlash regarding the video of the punch. I was honestly more upset about the quasi-feel-good segment than the punch itself. My guest today is yours truly, so let's get to the hot seat. Welcome to the Hot Seat with Holly Heat. I'm your host, Holly Heat, and today we're going to jump into some current sports topics. Now, one that is kind of near and dear and also very far away from my heart is going to be the Texans. And this week, the Texans announced that they have parted ways with their former interim GM, Jack Easterby. Now, this is important for numerous reasons, and people that are casual fans may not understand the impact that this Jack Easterby had on the Texans organization. But if you don't know, let me fill you in. Jack Easterby came by way of the Patriots, like we get a lot of hand-me-downs here in Houston from the Patriots. And he's worked his way up from being a simple team chaplain, a character fostering type of guy, even starting out on basketball teams, and has worked his way up to the NFL. So Jack Easterby comes in, he rises to power during sort of a tumultuous time with the Texans, and all of a sudden, the puppet master, as I like to call him, has become the interim GM. He was not that currently. I'm actually not sure what his most recent title was, but Jack Easterby was exposed in a very telling and thorough Sports Illustrated article, which I read when it came out over probably a year ago. And it seemed that Jack Easterby was more or less, like I said, a puppet master. So he had no experience being GM of any kind. And he did a lot of sort of underhanded things. He was instrumental, for instance, in the D-Hop trade. And that is probably the most notable thing that I think we can attribute to him. Obviously, the Texans organization parted ways with Bill O'Brien a while back, who was, segue head coach, GM. So now the Texans have parted ways with this puppet master. And this Sports Illustrated article, essentially, the writer equated him, if you're Game of Thrones fans, to a Littlefinger, who was sort of the deal maker. He was the underhanded one that was more like a kingmaker, so to speak. But I think Jack Easterby was very bad for the organization. One more telling note was the fact that nobody even really wanted to talk about him. He didn't do interviews either. That's another very telling feature. So what will the Texans organization look like once we move on from this? I'm not sure. I think it's way overdue. I think we have a huge hole to dig ourselves out from. But I know that I am happy as soon as I saw the news come across that the Texans had, even though I think it is way too late and I don't know how it got to that place. I think it just has to speak to just the, I guess, lack of, I don't know if it's a lack of passion, a lack of knowledge, a lack of, whatever in the front office, but this situation was out of hand. It's been out of hand for a while. I think there's hope now that we can move forward, but I'm still not looking for anything to happen anytime soon, but I'm glad that we're moving on. Sticking with football, man. So this season in the NFL has been pretty confusing, to say the least. A lot of the, really teams that had a lot of promise coming into the season are right around the middle now. The Eagles are doing well, and they're the only undefeated team. And then there's kind of a whole bunch of middle of the road teams, and a lot of stragglers, like, of course, my Texans, who did glean a win. I will say that the Texans did get one win in there. Not that it's really going to mean much for this season in general. I think that there are a lot of surprises when it comes to things like Tom Brady and kind of what's happening down in Tampa Bay. And I don't think that we can just blame it on other people other than Tom Brady. I think the Cowboys situation is, while I always love to see the Cowboys fail, it was interesting to kind of see Cooper Rush come in, sort of, make an impression on the league, albeit a short one because Dak Prescott is slated to come back. The Cowboys lost last week. But that was interesting and confusing for a while as well. What's not confusing is them finally losing and hopefully losing again as he makes his return this week. I don't know. I don't know if I would say that I am excited about this season of the NFL. You kind of always want to see some dark horses come alive, and you kind of want to see some teams come out of the woodwork. But the level of mediocrity that's going on right now is not something that I'm entirely enthusiastic about. So I'm hoping that we'll start seeing some glimpses of greatness come about, other than, you could argue, of course, the Eagles are doing quite well. But hopefully we'll get a little spark of something here as we go into week 7. Now to my favorite topic. So I laid it on a little thick there. Sorry about that. the NBA has come back, and the NBA is always full of fireworks. It doesn't matter if it's the off season, if it's regular season, postseason. There is literally always something going on. And one team I do want to highlight, and I'm sure they're on the tip of everybody's tongue, as they always are the Lakers. And, part of that is that they're a storied franchise, and part of that is because of LeBron James. And part of that is because of the train wreck that they have all of a sudden become. So they got a new coach, and, of course, any coach that comes in to coach any team that LeBron is on has to get the nod from LeBron. I like what they have in Darvin Ham. I think that he can maybe shift the culture. I think he can definitely make an impression on this team, whether or not it is a playoff run or not. It looks a little bit bleak right now, but I do want to note that we all know that the Lakers have shooting problems. We know that the three-pointer it's not their thing. Darvin Ham has come with the solution. And I like people that, they recognize the problem, but then they offer a solution as well. So he said that he appreciates more two-way players, and then a three-point specialist. And he wants to play fast and keep the middle of the floor open, which will provide the team with obviously more scoring opportunities. So if he can make this happen, I would love to see it. I would love to see the underdog Lakers, make a run and certainly make it to the playoffs. I think that the NBA is a better landscape with the Lakers in the playoffs, with LeBron in the playoffs. The personnel right now doesn't really dictate that. The friction, from what it seems, with Westbrook and possibly the rest of the team, or Westbrook and possibly Patrick Beverley, as we all suspect that they don't always get along. I'm not sure that the personnel can support this. It was said that he was going to bring Westbrook off the bench. However, when they played the other night, he started. So I think there are some things to figure out. I think if Darvin Ham is going to, really take a hold of this team, then he kind of needs to stick with the decision and not be overridden about that. And really just try to work on the chemistry, whatever chemistry there can be from this team. So I am not going to count the Lakers out, because I won't do that to LeBron. I won't do that to AD, who I think is tremendously talented. He has obviously been injury prone, but I think at his best and LeBron's best, even though he has been playing 20 years, they can still make a playoff run, but there are some things that need to go right. The Nets also started out a little rocky. One game, I do want to touch on them. I always like to highlight the fact that Kevin Durant is an ultimate competitor. He's probably my favorite player in the league right now, and he also has been counted out a lot like LeBron, maybe for different reasons though. And this team did look very beleaguered by the New Orleans Pelicans, which, by the way, the Pelicans, if Zion can stay healthy, Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum, this is a team to really watch. It would be really exciting if Zion can stay healthy. He is a force to be reckoned with. So I'm also not going to count at the Nets based off of the New Orleans Pelicans game, just because there's not a lot of people that have answers for Zion in the shape that he is in right now. But the Nets chemistry does not look the best. Ben Simmons scored 4 points, played 23 minutes. I think his confidence is still lacking, and I'm not sure if he wasn't able to solve that prior to the season, then I'm not sure what the answer to that is now. I'm not sure if there's an answer at all. I think if we can solve that, and Kyrie and KD can kind of do their thing, then I can see them also going to the playoffs. Obviously, last season, there was a lot going on. It wasn't just the Ben Simmons thing. It was the Kyrie thing. It was the James Harden thing. So I'm going to not count out these two teams as badly as everybody wants them to. And, we'll kind of see how that pans out. It's still super early, a lot of time for overreactions. But I did like what I saw from the New Orleans Pelicans. Haven't gotten a lot of chance to watch a lot of other games. But, of course, I'm excited for the NBA season. So that sums up some of our pressing topics this week in sports. And I think now, in the Hot Seat with Holly Heat, I am going to entertain some questions that were submitted via social media. So I'm going to have my lovely production assistant hopefully help me out and regale me with some of these questions from social media here. So I've read your comments. I've heard what you've said. How can a woman possibly know anything about sports? My show, The Hot Seat with Holly Heat, is an experience for sports fans to get to know athletes, fans, and myself through an outside-the-box perspective. This fall, you'll see who sits in my hot seat. Go ahead, lovely production assistant.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on how the Rockets will finish this season record-wise?
I mean, I did watch some of the game the other night, and I won't say I was encouraged or discouraged. I mean, we obviously know, and we have known that the Rockets are a young team. There's maybe maybe Eric Gordon might be the only NBA veteran on the team. So, record-wise, I think it will improve from last year, and I definitely think that Jabari Smith is going to be instrumental in their success. So,
can our podcast get a shout-out? Curated Vibes Sacramento on YouTube.
Well, you know what? Any supporter of mine, I'm going to be a supporter of yours. So shout out to Curated Vibes Sacramento. I'm so glad to have somebody from Sacramento that watches me. Awesome. Thank you.
Chances that the Atlanta Hawks make it to the ECF.
If for those of you that don't know, that's the Eastern Conference Finals. Come on, Hooper.
Okay.
All right. The Atlanta Hawks. Now, that's actually who the Rockets played the other night. I think the Hawks look pretty good. Eastern Conference Finals. I think that's going to be a little tough. You have Donovan Mitchell now that's playing for the Cavs. I think that they're going to be, they already, made a little bit of a run last year. So you're going to have to watch out for them. Hopefully the Nets will be in there. We have the Heat, of course. Let's see, possibly Chicago. I know DeMar DeRozan's probably going to go off. It looks like he's in good form, but he usually is during the regular season. Eastern Conference Finals, I don't think so.
What a wholesome question we have. What makes you smile?
What makes me smile? Basketball makes me smile. Sports makes me smile. My daughter makes me smile. Also, vacations make me smile. I'm overdue for vacation.
What's the most useless thing any franchise has?
Wow. I mean, ask the Texans. Probably the whole front office there. No. You know what? I am going to get a lot of hate for this. But I come by this opinion honestly. I was actually arguing with somebody about this the other day. cheerleaders.
Bro.
I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but let me tell you why. I went to Texas A&M University, Texas Aggies, gig 'em. And at Texas A&M, we have yell leaders, and they actually lead yells. So they're actually cheerleaders because they engage the crowd in these yells, and it's just a very, very spirited activity, and it really gets you involved with the game. Although I will say I was very traumatized by college football, having gone to Texas A&M in the early 2000s. So maybe that isn't the best thing. But yeah, I think cheerleaders, not for any reason other than they don't actually lead cheers.
Yeah, that's interesting. What are your predictions for the Lakers this season? Will they make it to the playoffs?
Yeah, so again, I'm not going to count them out. I think they'll make it to the play-in, which, by the way, I love the play-in. I feel like I could dedicate like a whole segment to the play-in because I actually really love this most progressive league and how they change up the rules and stuff and the tournament style. I love it. But I'm not going to count them out, but I'm not going to count them in. So I don't know. It's a little early to tell.
Dang, man. What is basketball? From Kevin.
My sister from another mister's husband, who is an absolute, he's an absolute gem, but he knows nothing about sports. You know, Kevin, I will have to sit down one day and drink some, not adult beverage. He does not drink either. Makes it even harder to explain sports when you don't drink. But basketball is the greatest game in the world.
Facts. Where'd your passion from sports come from?
I mean, actually, I have a little bio on hollyheat.com, which you should all check out. You won't be disappointed. Go to hollyheat.com. No, but as I say in my bio on the website, my mother went to University of Georgia. My uncle went to Auburn. I went to A&M. So I'm an SEC baby. My mother's side of the family is from Indiana, which is a big basketball state. So, and my grandmother and grandfather went to IU. My grandfather was a part of the Atlanta Tip-Off Club, which gives out the Naismith Award, or I'm not sure if they still give out the Naismith Award or not. And so my grandfather gave the Naismith Award to people like Ralph Sampson and Larry Bird. So I feel like in multiple ways I have sports in my blood. And I played tennis as a youth. So I just have, and that's why I think I have like a well-rounded appetite for sports.
Wow. Do you think the Texans will fire the GM next?
I don't think so. I don't think that there's been any just real, I mean, the quarterback situation, it's hard to put a finger on it quite yet, but I don't think that he will be fired this year. I think they'll at least give him another year to try to pull it together.
Yeah.
There are other issues also, so let's not just...
Good question. How short are you?
Oh, you thought that was a good question. I am 5'5" with probably flip-flops or tennis shoes on. I know everyone thinks I height fish them, but the truth is I actually have a very long torso, so that's why I appear taller.
Height fisher. How about them Cowboys?
How about no? Don't ever bring a hopeful or a I don't know, just don't bring the Cowboys up to me unless you want to hear about how bad they are. So no. Not how about these Cowboys. How about that loss last week? And how about the probably going to lose to the Lions this week? I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I really am.
Last question. What underdog story do you want to see most this season in NFL and NBA season?
Man, that's a great question. The underdog story that I want to see most. So I think in the NFL, I think I want to see Russell Wilson prove it. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really care about Russell Wilson and how bad the Broncos are right now. I'm more upset with the fact that they keep being on Monday Night Football. Why are you subjecting us to this, NFL? Jesus. This is going to be controversial. It's going to be very controversial. But I honestly would like to see Deshaun Watson come back and do well amongst all of this that he's been going through. Obviously, the NFL is giving him another chance. The Cleveland Browns are giving him another chance. So he should be given a chance to play and prove himself. I don't think that his talent has deteriorated in any way. And I would love to, which, by the way, the first game is going to be against the Texans here. The irony, right? It's almost like it was scripted. And I want to see him come back and do well for the remainder of the season. Not sure what that'll end up looking like for Cleveland, but I want to see Deshaun do well. NBA, I mean, I'm kind of a KD. I'm kind of on KD right now. I have been for like the past year or two. And so I would like them to be able to pull it together. I would like Ben Simmons to be able to pull it together. And I know that's probably also very controversial since he receives a lot of criticism. But I would love to see that team really pull it together. I don't think there's a lack of talent at all. So that's really the underdog story. The second tier underdog story, I think would be maybe the Lakers as well. So the two teams I touched on earlier, because they have received such harsh criticism. And when there's a lot expected of you, or there has been a lot expected of you over your career, you're of course going to have a higher bar that you have to, you have to meet or exceed in order to get the respect that you had or deserved at one time. And so I would, even though they're both underdogs, and they've been favored at one time throughout their career. Speaking of KD and LeBron James, they're now underdogs. So I would like to see them prove people wrong. I would like to see their teams prove people wrong this year. And let's see what happens. So, all right. You said that wraps up the questions there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you to my lovely production assistant. And that's going to wrap it up for me here at the Hot Seat with Holly Heat. Please comment. I want to hear your feedback because I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people that don't agree with what I have to say. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.